Hello fellow Scratchers! Back for more Geometry Dash? Well, that's excellent, because that's exactly what I've got in store for you. No beating around the bush, we are finally branching out to bring that awesome ship mode into our games. Whether you fancy drawing these assets yourself or want to grab them from me, I've got you covered. Yes, we're going to get the ship physics just right, and I've got the perfect bit of maths to point the ship in the right direction. Finally, we can't forget to fix the ship's particle stream to emit from just the right area. So, are you ready? Well, before we dive in, if you would like some help with the costumes for this episode, I've created an asset pack on my Griffpatch tutor account, also linked under this video. It contains the player and their ship form. Of course, if you want to draw these yourself, then please do. That can be half the fun after all. These are some of my hitboxes I use in my game. And then we have some level assets too, including, yes, my rather artistic hand-drawn portal costume. And finally, we have 2 soundtracks from the previous episodes. Just don't forget to give credit if you use them, to Foreverbound and RobTop himself. Thank you guys! Right then, if you want to make use of any of these, then just drop the sprites into your backpack. 1, 2, and 3. And we are ready to rumble! So open your projects from episode 6 and we'll save them as a fresh new copy, for this is episode 7. Guys, let's get scratching! We are going to begin by adding a portal, and to avoid us trekking halfway across the level to test it, I think we'd better pop one right here at the very start of the game. Click into the level sprite, and we want the portal dropping right here. Now, it's your choice whether you draw your own portal in Scratch or use my asset. The important thing is that its size is around 2 by 3 of your regular tiles. Now, it must contain no pure white colour so that the player can pass through it without colliding. And it must contain a unique colour that we'll use to trigger the change to ship mode. I'm using this pinky purple colour. So this would do just fine, but since we have them at hand, we might otherwise bring in my level asset sprite, and then copy the portal. And paste it. Where is it? Paste it into the existing level, like so. We just need to remember to hide the imported asset sprites before we play the game. And here we are. One very fine portal, ready to transform us into a very splendid ship form. Note how we are not colliding with the portal because I didn't include any pure white in this costume. So, we are going to need a new costume for our ship too. I don't mind if you want to draw this yourself or borrow the asset project. The player sprite I backpacked earlier already has a very fine ship ready to rock and roll, so just drag the costume from that sprite into our player sprite like so. Then check back in our player sprite to ensure both costumes are now ready for use. I just noticed my player's colours are still yellow and white, so I'm going to update them to match the asset colours. We can use the fill tool for that. Great! Now, just in case you don't use my assets, let me show you how the dimensions of this costume compare to the original player cube. Okay, so as you can see, the player and the ship should fit just within the height of the original player cube. However, the width is just a little wider, and that's okay. One thing you must ensure is that once you've finished drawing your ship, that you select the entire costume and snap it to the centre of the costume canvas, like so. That is so that it will rotate nicely around its origin, the middle point. Now, costume names. These are important. You'll see I've named the ship form as ship. But we must also rename the first costume, not as player, but now as cube. This is the cube form. If you want to support more than one skin, then make this cube 1, cube 2, and cube 3, etc. Just always begin with cube or ship. Excellent. So with our costumes ready, we need a way to switch between game modes, from cube to ship. For this, we'll make a new variable named mode, and it's for all sprites. We want to begin as a cube, so under the When I Receive Game On script, before switching costumes, we can set mode to cube, the same name as our costume, and that is no coincidence. Now move down to the forever loop. We want to watch out for when the player touches a portal. I want all these collision checks to be performed using the hitbox costume, but also in the non-rotated form. So I'm going to move this set rotation style to all around down below the touching spike check here. Great, now for the portal checks. Make a new custom block. Check portal. And then I'm going to pop in a numeric input of player Y. We won't need that variable right now, but it will be useful later on for sure. We'll make use of this new block down here before setting rotation mode, and we'll pass in the current Y position of the player. Okay, let's code the custom block. Are we touching a portal? If touching color. Then make the level sprite visible so that we can get the portal costume visible on the stage, which will allow us to pick our exact pink shade that will trigger a change of form. Great. Next up, set mode to, can you guess? Yeah, ship. Hold on, I just realised I am recording this video in the new high contrast scratch color mode. I use it quite a lot these days, as it's great for taking screenshots, but let me switch back to keep things consistent with my other videos. Now let's finish off this script. After changing mode to ship, we need to ensure we are facing to the right, point in direction 90, and reset the player's jump speed, setting speed Y to 0. Cool. If you want to test that, then we should see that the mode variable will switch from cube to ship the moment we touch the portal. Excellent. And therefore, actually switching costumes is just one block away. Switch costume, that's here, to mode. Are you ready for this? Let's go! And yes, we did it! Ship mode complete! Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like the video, subscribe. Only kidding. Well, no, do please do those things. But no, we are not done. We need some proper ship movement scripts. Just before we add these though, I realise that some of you will have rushed ahead and added skins to your project, and that will mean multiple new costumes, something like, well, actually no, hopefully nothing like this, but anyhow, all you need to do in this case is add a number after the costume name, like so. And then, when we switch costumes, pop in a join block first, joining the mode with a skin variable. That can be the value 1, 2, or whatever to make the full costume name. Anyhow, maybe we'll cover that fully in a later episode. I just didn't want to leave you hanging. So, player movement scripts. That's found up here. If you happen to have Scratch add-ons installed with my DevTools extension, then you can jump right to the definition by simply middle-clicking the block. Yes, these are the cube-specific movement scripts, so what I suggest is that we create a new custom block, cube move for men. Let's try that again. Cube movement. And we'll move the entire player movement scripts over into that new defined block. Then we'll make use of this, but within an if-else block, checking whether mode is equal to cube. There we go. Excellent. I think you can see where I'm going with this. For now, we need a second custom block. Ship movement. Run without screen refresh. And of course, we're going to drop that into the else branch. We'll code this block up now in some free space. The movement of our ship is quite simple. When the jump key is held, we accelerate up. Otherwise, we're going to be accelerating down. So, if else, checking for the jump key. Oh, yeah, we have that over here. It's space or mouse down. Then we're going to accelerate up by changing speed Y by 1. And back down, just as easy, change speed y by -1. We do have to be careful, though, not to exceed a maximum speed. If speed y is greater than 12, then we can set speed y back to 12. Downwards is almost the same. If speed y is less than, but we're not going to use -12, instead we'll use -10. This is the same as the scrolling speed, so that the ship will fall perfectly diagonally, and yet set speed y to -10. So that's the speed sorted. Now we move the actual ship. Change y by speed y. Yay! And it's testing time. I'm pretty excited to see how this turns out. And into the portal. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Holding space has me shoot up into the air, and releasing brings me back down to Earth. However, there are a few things missing. 1, I should be rotating to match the direction of travel, and 2, I can fly straight through the ground and the walls, and that's less than ideal. We'll fix that first. Adding to the ship movement scripts. If the player is touching the colour white, and that's pure white, then first, are we flying up or down? Use an if-else. If the speed y is less than 0, then we are flying downwards. We'll use our move out of level block. And we can enter 1 in the input to raise the player up out of the floor. Otherwise, in the else, also move out of level, but use a -1 to drop the player out of the ceiling. Yeah, this time we really do want to allow ceiling collisions when in ship mode. Finally, still within the touching white if block, finish by setting speed y back to 0 to level the ship off. Shall we give that another try? Smash that green flag. And I'm going straight for the floor to ensure I can no longer pass through it. It's also worth checking that the spikes are still as capable of ending my game as before. And running into a wall. Yeah, this is coming along great. The next step is to improve the visuals by making the ship point in the direction it is flying. So how do we do that? Well, we'll need a point in direction block at least, but next up, we need some trigonometry. Ha! Well, don't worry, it is actually simple enough. Drop in an addition, and we're going to add 90 to, and this is the exciting block. No, not the abs, but the arctan, or atan for short. This calculates an angle based on the supplied gradient value. Now, that is speed y divided by scroll speed. Just pop that in there, and that is it. Don't believe it could be that easy? Well, just watch this. See? Using just the movement speed in the x direction and the y direction, we can calculate the direction angle, and everything just looks beautiful. Simply beautiful. Don't you agree? That simple change transforms this game mode into something quite special. But of course, there is still something missing. We've lost our player particle trail. Well, previously this was triggered by a create clone block. And cloning, the particle sprite. And you know what? That doesn't look half bad. It's just a shame that the particles do not emit directly from our ship's rear end. If we click into the Player's Costume tab and take a closer look at the ship costume, I'll just duplicate it so I can show you this without ruining the original costume. If I make all the fills transparent, then now I can count grid squares from the centre of the costume to the rocket exhaust. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares to the left, and 2 squares down from centre. Okay, make a note of that. We'll need it again in a moment. And we click into the particle sprite. You can see it's here that we position the particle at present. So bring in an if-else, and once more we'll check for a mode of cube. Mode equals cube. Then we'll separate off the show and repeat loop and take just the change x and y blocks and below over into that if. That is specifically for the cube particles. Great. Return the separated off scripts to the bottom and the if else to the when I start as clone hat block. Now we'll position the particles for our ship. Firstly, we want to move 5 grid squares to the left. Haha, except if our player is rotated, then actually that's 5 squares backwards from the direction of rotation. So we need to first point in the same direction as our player sprite. And luckily there's a handy block in the sensing category for this, the mighty Thing of Thing block, just here. And we begin by changing it to be of player, because then the left-hand options change and we can select direction of player. And now the particle is facing the same direction as the player sprite. That means if we use the move block, we can move forwards in that direction, or backwards by supplying a negative value. So a grid square is 4 pixels, so -5 multiplied by 4 is -20 pixels. Then, to move down by 2 squares, we first turn clockwise by 90 degrees, so we're facing downwards, and then move again, this time by 2 multiplied by 4, that's 8 pixels. Cool! What about the particle speed? Duplicate the set speed x and y, and we'll change them both to be a random number from -1.0 to 1.0. Splendid. I think we can give that green flag a slap. Here we go. So these particles are now definitely emitting from roughly the right place, and they are controlled and less random, but something is not quite right. It feels like the particles are still slightly misaligned. And in fact, they are appearing roughly 10 pixels to the left of the ship's exhaust. It had me stumped for a short while, but then I realised that after all our pixel-perfect positioning up here, we then have the animation loop below that scrolls the particles off leftwards. And that's great, except that it begins to run right away, and so immediately scrolls the particles 1 frame to the left of where they're supposed to be. Ah, the 10 pixels. We need to delay this animation by 1 frame. That we can do with a simple wait block, waiting for 0 seconds. Yes, 0. Even without a specified time, the scripts below will be postponed until the next animation frame, and that's perfect. So slap that green flag again, and let's see what a difference 1 frame can make. Yes, all the difference. See how the initial particle is locked exactly in place, no matter what angle our ship is at. It's those little finishing touches that makes our games look awesome, right? Talking of which, what is up with our main title menu? Our player sprite is stuck in ship mode, but also we somehow lost our floor. Let's tackle the floor first. I'm sure it's super simple. And yes, in the floor sprite, we set camera Y to 0 under the reset level script, but not under our green flag script. Let's set camera Y to 0 in there. Good, we're getting there. Now for the player costume. Click back into the player sprite. And again, when the green flag is clicked, we just switch the costume to whichever costume you fancy on the title screen. Cube for me. And with that, things are looking back to normal. Bugs squashed. Well, that's great. Now there is one more issue that has been raised by a fellow scratcher, and that's the fact that we don't have any particle trails appearing on the title screen either. Well, challenge accepted. Continue the green flag script with a forever loop, and again we create a clone of the particle sprite. Now that almost does the trick, except we have to be careful what game mode we were left in. We are seeing the ship mode particles here. No problem though, we just need a set mode to cube right here at the top of the script. And there you have it. And I know that there's still more aspects that I have yet to cover, like locking the vertical scrolling to a single height when in ship mode, and a portal to return us back to cube mode. But that, and the many other exciting features, will have to wait for another episode. I do hope you are enjoying this tutorial, and if you wouldn't mind liking the video to show your support, then that means a lot. Also, have you subbed to the channel? Just asking, because it's amazing how many people find they haven't. So subscribe now and click that bell icon so you won't miss the next video the moment it drops. But until then, thanks for watching, buy lots of my merch, have a great week ahead, and scratch on, guys.